Welcome to Zoe Stories. I was caught dressed as a girl by my parents. My name is Ethan, and I'm 17 years old. To most people, I'm just an average high school senior, decent grades, a few close friends, and a passion for art that I keep mostly to myself. On the surface, my life seems uncomplicated, maybe even boring. But beneath the veneer of normalcy lies a secret I've carefully hidden for years: my love for wearing feminine clothes. It's not something I can easily explain, even to myself. It's just a part of me, one that brings me comfort and joy, but also a constant undercurrent of fear. The clothes had always been my escape, a way to express a side of myself that didn't fit into the world I lived in. It started when I was 13, sneaking into my older sister Emma's closet when no one was home. Over time, I began collecting my own pieces: a blouse here, a pair of heels there, always hidden in the back of my wardrobe like contraband. It was a Saturday afternoon when everything unraveled. My parents had left for a weekend trip, and Emma was supposed to be at a friend's house. The rare privacy gave me the confidence to indulge fully. I dressed in a soft floral dress, paired with makeup I'd painstakingly practiced applying over the years. For once, I felt free, unburdened by the need to hide. I was mid-spin in front of the mirror, feeling a giddy kind of euphoria, when I heard the front door creak open. My heart stopped. "Ethan," my mom's voice called out, sharp and unexpected. Panic set in. My parents were home early, and I was caught completely off guard. The stakes couldn't have been higher. If they saw me like this, everything I'd worked to conceal for years would come crashing down. The sound of my mom's voice was like a lightning strike to my chest. My stomach twisted, and my breath caught as the panic surged. I scrambled to think, but my body betrayed me, frozen in place as if the sheer force of my fear had turned me to stone. There was no time to change, no way to hide the floral dress that clung to me like an unwelcome spotlight or the carefully applied makeup that told a story I wasn't ready to share. I could hear the soft thud of footsteps coming closer, the weight of each step pressing on my chest like a vice. Do I run? Do I lock the door and buy myself time? A dozen desperate scenarios raced through my head, each more futile than the last. A small, defiant voice inside me whispered, "Maybe it's time. Maybe you don't have to hide anymore." But that voice was drowned out by a tidal wave of fear. What if they don't understand? What if they're disgusted? My mind conjured every possible reaction, each one worse than the last. I picture my dad's face, stern and unyielding, or my mom's eyes, filled with confusion and hurt. The weight of potential rejection was crushing. At the same time, another thought crept in, one that felt almost treacherous. What if they do understand? For years, I had longed for a day when I wouldn't have to live in secret, when I could be accepted for who I truly was. The idea felt tantalizing yet terrifying, a fragile hope balanced on the edge of despair. The footsteps stopped right outside my room. I could see the shadow of my mom's feet beneath the door. My heart thundered in my chest, my breath shallow and ragged. "Ethan, are you in there?" she asked, her voice soft but firm. This was it, the moment I had dreaded and imagined countless times. My hands trembled as I reached for the doorknob, torn between slamming it shut and pulling it open. I stood frozen in my room, the soft swish of the dress brushing against my legs with every nervous shift of my weight. The makeup felt heavier now, a vivid reminder of what I was wearing and why it could all fall apart. Outside the door, I could hear my mom's footsteps, light but deliberate, pacing back and forth. My heart raced as though it was trying to escape the inevitable. "Ethan," her voice called again, gentle but edged with concern. "You've been in there for a while. Are you okay?" My throat felt dry as sandpaper, and I swallowed hard, trying to keep my voice steady.
"Yeah, Mom."
Just give me a minute. A minute to figure out how I was going to explain this. A minute to decide whether I should try to hide or just let the truth come crashing down. My eyes darted around the room, landing on the pile of my usual clothes on the bed. If I moved fast enough, maybe I could change and avoid everything. But the mirror caught me again. The reflection staring back wasn't the scared boy I felt like inside. The girl I saw looked happy, confident even, in a way I hadn't felt in years. And for a moment I thought, maybe I want her to see me like this. A sharp knock on the door shattered the thought. "Ethan, what's going on in there?" My mom pressed, her voice now more serious. "I'm coming in if you don't answer." I felt my chest tighten. My secret was teetering on the edge, about to tumble into the open, and I couldn't tell if that was a relief or a nightmare. Grabbing my phone, I texted Mia. "Me. She's about to come in. What do I do?" "Mia, just breathe, okay? Maybe this is your chance. You've been hiding this for too long." "Me, I'm not ready. What if she freaks out?" "Mia, what if she doesn't? What if she understands? You've got this." Her words helped, but not enough. My hands trembled as I stared at the door, listening to my mom's sigh from the other side. "I'm opening the door, Ethan," she said, her voice firm but calm. My heart was pounding so loudly that I barely heard the creak of the doorknob turning. My mind screamed at me to do something. Hide, yell, anything, but all I could do was stand there as the door slowly opened. The look on her face when she saw me was indescribable. A mix of surprise, confusion, and something else I couldn't quite place. Time seemed to stop, the air between us heavy with unspoken words. "Ethan, what's going on?" she asked softly. I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came. Mom stood in the doorway, her eyes scanning me from head to toe. Her expression wasn't one of anger or disgust, just a quiet, curious confusion that made my heart ache even more. I could feel the silence pressing down on me, suffocating. My instincts screamed at me to say something, anything, to break the tension. But what could I say? How could I explain why her son was standing in front of her wearing a dress, with makeup she didn't even know I had? "Ethan," she said gently, stepping inside and closing the door behind her. "Talk to me?" Her tone wasn't harsh, but it wasn't dismissive either. It was the kind of voice she used when she wanted the truth, no matter how messy it might be. My hands fidgeted with the hem of the dress, the fabric soft under my trembling fingers. I knew I was at a crossroads. I could shrug it off as a joke, a prank gone too far. That would be easier, wouldn't it? A few laughs, an awkward apology, and this would all be behind me. But then I thought about the girl in the mirror, the way she smiled like she finally belonged. If I lied now, I'd bury her again, maybe for good. I took a shaky breath, feeling the weight of my decision pressing down on me. If I told the truth, there was no going back. Mom might not understand. She might be hurt or angry or worse. But wasn't this the moment I'd been waiting for? The chance to finally stop hiding? I need to tell you something, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Her gaze softened, and she sat down on the edge of my bed, waiting patiently. And with that, I made my choice. The words tumbled out of me like a flood breaking through a dam. I told Mom everything, how it started with small curiosities, sneaking into her closet as a child, and trying on dresses that made me feel strangely alive. I shared how it wasn't just about the clothes, but about feeling like someone I didn't yet have the courage to be. She listened quietly, her expression unreadable. I braced myself for a harsh reaction, for anger or disappointment. But when I finished, she reached out and took my trembling hands in hers. "I had no idea," she said softly, her voice filled with something I hadn't expected, compassion. That evening marked the beginning of something new. Mom suggested we take things slow, and for the first time, I didn't feel like I was navigating this alone. The first major step came a few days later, when Mom brought home a small bag from the local drugstore. Inside were basic makeup essentials, a foundation that matched my skin tone, mascara, and a soft pink lipstick. "Let's start with the basics," she said, smiling nervously. As I sat in front of the mirror, Mom guided me through the process, her movements patient and deliberate. The cool touch of foundation on my face was soothing, and as she brushed on a hint of blush, I began to see a version of myself I'd only imagined in fleeting dreams. The next step was clothing. She suggested we go shopping together, an idea that filled me with equal parts excitement and terror. Walking into the store felt like stepping into enemy territory, but Mom's presence was an anchor. She helped me pick out pieces that suited my style, simple skirts, soft blouses, and a pair of ankle boots that felt like they were made for me. The transformation wasn't just physical. As the days passed, I noticed subtle shifts in myself. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't just see Ethan in a dress. I saw someone who was slowly shedding years of shame and fear, someone learning to embrace who they truly were. Of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were moments of self-doubt, when I wondered if I was doing the right thing, or if I'd ever feel comfortable in my own skin. There were awkward stares from strangers when we ventured out, whispers that sent a shiver down my spine. But for every setback, there was a moment of growth. A kind smile from a shop assistant, a quiet, "You look beautiful" from Mom, or even the simple joy of walking down the street and feeling the breeze against my legs. Each step felt like peeling away a layer of armor, revealing the person I had kept hidden for so long. The day I had feared the most arrived with a quiet weight, settling on my shoulders like an invisible cloak. Mom had been supportive, but I still hadn't told Dad. The thought of seeing his disapproval, of hearing his judgment, made my stomach churn. Today, however, there was no avoiding it. I had spent hours getting ready, carefully choosing an outfit that felt just right, a soft cream sweater, a delicate floral skirt, and the boots that had become my quiet confidence. I applied the makeup Mom had taught me, making sure everything was just perfect. When I looked in the mirror, the reflection that stared back at me wasn't Ethan in a dress anymore. It was me. But as I stepped into the living room, heart hammering in my chest, the door swung open, and there he was.
Dad.
I froze, caught mid-step, my breath hitching in my throat. His eyes locked with mine, and for a moment, time seemed to stop. His face was unreadable. No anger, no surprise, just quiet observation. "Dad," I whispered, my voice trembling. I felt exposed, like I was standing in the middle of a storm. "Ethan." His voice was low, but there was no harshness. It wasn't what I had expected, but it was enough to keep me rooted to the spot. He stepped inside, his gaze still fixed on me. For what felt like an eternity, he said nothing. He didn't shout, didn't pull me aside to lecture me. His silence was its own form of judgment, the weight of it pressing on me until I thought I might collapse under the pressure. "I don't understand it," he finally said, breaking the silence.
But
"I'll try." My breath caught in my chest, and the knot in my stomach began to loosen just slightly. The realization hit me like a sudden wave. I wasn't just fighting for acceptance anymore. I was fighting for myself. The fear, the shame, they weren't going to control me anymore. "Thank you," I whispered, the tears threatening to spill over. But I held them back. Dad didn't reach out, but I saw a flicker of something in his eyes, a tentative, uncertain acceptance. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start, a fragile beginning. And for the first time, I felt like I was no longer just hiding behind someone else's expectations. As I stand here today, looking back on the path I've walked, it feels like a lifetime ago when the mere thought of dressing like this terrified me. What started as a quiet act of defiance against my own fear has grown into something far more significant. The clothes, the makeup, they no longer feel like a costume. They are a part of me, an expression of who I am. I've learned that transformation is not just about appearance, but about claiming your space in the world. I've realized that my journey isn't about pleasing anyone else, but about understanding and embracing the person I've always been. The journey hasn't been easy. There have been moments of doubt, of questioning whether I'd made the right choice. But when I look at myself in the mirror now, I see someone who is unapologetically real. I've learned to stop hiding, to stop fearing rejection. Even when my dad couldn't fully understand, he chose to try. And that small step, that quiet act of acceptance, has meant more to me than words could ever express. My mom's support has been unwavering, but I've also learned that it's okay not to have all the answers. Not everything needs to be figured out in an instant. I've realized that life is a process, a journey of growth and change, and sometimes the biggest challenge is simply showing up as yourself. There's still much to discover, but today, I am stronger than I was yesterday. More than that, I am more myself. The future isn't as daunting as it once was. There's room to explore, to grow, and to live authentically. And that's a future worth looking forward to. Thank you for joining us on another captivating journey through Zoe's stories. Remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a tale. Until next time, keep exploring, keep imagining, and keep believing in the magic of storytelling. See you in the next chapter.